Good morning everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm a former Boeing 737 pilot and member of the PMDG 737 tech team. Today we're going to do our very first full flight with the updated PMDG Boeing 737. And for that we have two special guests on our hand over here. On one hand side, this is also a preview of the brand new and upcoming MK Studios Lisbon Rebooted. And there have been so many changes to this airport. Just looking at the low-cost terminal where we're standing right now, we now have terminal interiors, the ground polygens have been updated and are looking really good now, so I am going to talk you over that. Also, we are flying to the brand new and awesome looking Madeira scenery, which promises us not only to be able to explore an RMP-AR approach with all its particulars in the updated PMDG 737, but also gives us the chance to look at the brand new scenery for one of my all-time favorite airports. Last but not least, we are flying one of the few Ryanair 737s that have been updated with these split scimitar winglets today. So Ryanair has retrofitted, I believe, 12 of these aircraft by now, and these do provide more fuel efficiency, while at the same time providing not so much extra costs on the typical Ryanair sectors. So let's get inside and we are going to go ahead and start setting our aircraft up. As we're walking inside, just watch those apron textures here and how MK has done an awesome job at getting us these in a fairly good high definition, as good as it is possible within Microsoft Flight Simulator. Alright then. Time to board our 737 and start setting up for our flight. So we are going to fly from the captain's seat today. You can see engineering has already done its fair share of getting the aircraft powered up. So we are still going to start with the safety inspection though. So normally we do that one standing. And that is the battery on. We do have ground power connected here. Emergency exit lights armed. Attendant call button is checked. So, takeoff config is checked, then we can do the engine fire test, which is working correctly, test the squibs, and that is looking good. Okay, cargo fire test is done, voice recorder coming on, and then let's test the clackers. And then we can go ahead and test the flight recorder. And last but not least, the RSs have already been switched into nav mode and been aligned by the engineering. Very good, with that we can take a seat and go ahead with our light test, which is looking good. All those bulbs are working. And then we can do the oxygen test. Also looking good. Last but not least, let's go ahead and turn on the terrain display so that we make sure that there will be no interference with the weather radar and all our passengers in the terminal up front there. Alright, so that good stuff is done. If we take a quick look into our electronic flight bag, then we've already opened the one left door together with the air stair that's been extended. We are going to use the GSX service vehicles today, so we don't really need to do anything over here. Ground connections, ground power is connected. They don't have air conditioning units at these low-cost gates here in Lisbon, so that's nothing to worry about. And the ground maintenance page is showing everything good. With that, I'm going to spare myself the walk around, and we'll simply have the first officer doing that. Okay, perfect. So then, let's go right back into the electronic flight bag. The IRAC is up to date, wonderful, and then we can import our SimBrief data, please. Right, let's zoom that one in a little bit so that we can get the safe taxi map. Our departure weather is looking good, the QNH is 1024. Let's go ahead and dial that one up. Here we go. And this one takes a little bit of time here, and here we go. Okay, 1024 is dialed in everywhere. Perfect. Okay, so, onto the flight plan then. And we gotta make a decision on the amount of fuel to carry. So looking at the Weather itself, our departure in Lisbon is looking very good for a runway 02 departure. Our arrival in Madeira is going to be a runway 05 with the lovely circling. We do have some broken clouds in 1500, but that is nothing to worry about. Likewise, that temporary weather down here, scattered 800, that is getting close to the minima, but will not be too much of a problem. I just hit the autopilot switch here, my apologies. But we can take that kind of as a warning, because that temporary weather scattered 800 may just be below the minimums. Let's go ahead and have a look what our minimums actually are for the RMP approach. So, let's see, runway 05 RMP Zulu AR. Okay, and we will have an RRP of 0.1, so that's a category Charlie aircraft, minimums 520. So no problem at all with these weather conditions. Just to compare that, if we did the standard RMP approach, the RMP Alpha, down to the missed approach point at Mike Alpha 566, we would have a minimum that's located 800 feet above the runway, and therefore would probably not be possible to fly the approach today. So that way, with this weather forecast, we are just about going to escape the bad weather, based on our new navigation capabilities in the aircraft. Okay, with that out of the way, our alternate at Porto Santo is looking quite okay over here. However, a little bit gusty from the northeast. Let's go ahead and have a look at these conditions as well. Yep, I know this is reading undefined, that's a SimBrief issue. And LPPS is going to be the airport, so let's have a quick look into the approaches available over there. And probably going to be a runway 36 RMP approach with the minimum down in 800 above the ground. Visibility 1,500 meters required, or actually 2,400 for a Cat Charlie aircraft. So looking into these weather conditions, we are just fine to use Porto Santo. Okay, perfect. So, with that out of the way, I'd say we can make a decision on the amount of fuel we want to take, and we are going to take, well, if this is 6.6 as the minimum, then we are going to take 6.6, no reason to take extra over here. Okay, perfect. So, unfortunately, one thing that has not been transferred to the tablet in the version that I'm using just now, remember this is a beta version over here, things are subject to change, is the ground services button. So over here I am going to call for that fuel truck, 6,600 kilos, and the rest of it we'll quickly set over here. So 184 passengers, and for the cargo we're looking at a zero fuel weight of, I believe, 59 point a bit, yeah, 59.4. That's full house for Ryanair. So we are going to load 1,300 kilos in the forward hold. Okay, so that's now set. Let's go ahead and call for GSX, because the low-cost stands that we're using over here are actually quite cool in that they don't use buses, but they use walk-in areas. So if we go to the outside, you can see that fairly nicely over here. Our guests, oh, that was a bit quick. Our guests are going to come out either over here or over here, and then they will just walk to the aircraft like this. So that's quite cool. So let's see how that is going to look like with the brand new scenery. Alright, apart from that, our first couple of items are done. So let's see, you can go ahead and start the refueling, please. Well, and with that out of the way, let's hope that GSX is going to work. Yeah, you can already attach the tuck, please. And we don't need to board the crew, we are on board already, as you can obviously see. Okay, perfect. So they are starting their maneuvers over here. Do note that the latest GSX update with the new loaders just came out, but since the servers are currently offline, I can't really install that yet. So we are going to use the old loaders over here. And that looks expensive down there. Alright. So in that case, let's go ahead and start with our FMS setup. So, FMC 737-800, 26k rating, that's looking good. The IRSs are aligned already, so we're going from LPPT towards LPMA. And this is going to be the Ryanair 387. Okay, for our departures, we are going off runway 02 and we are going via the Olborg 1 Lima departure. Probably going to get a direct pretty soon after we get airborne. Okay, for our routing, we fly direct to Narta and then already onto the Raccoon arrival. But for now, direct Narta. And that looks like the correct one up here. And then for the arrivals, we are going to select the RNAV Zulu approach together with the Raccoon 1 Papa arrival and the PLIM transition. Join that up and activate. Perfect. Alright, so cost NX6. The reserve fuel today is going to be 1.9, which is just above the minimum here. Okay, 59.40 fuel weight, cruising at flight level 370. In terms of the winds, we are looking at a top of climb wind 268 at 27. And the outside air temperature, ISA +5, so we are looking at -51 degrees. Okay, transition altitude 4001, and then quick look in here, and that's this. Okay, 602 miles versus a ground distance of 618 miles. That's close enough. Well, and last but not least, LPPT/25. And at the end of the legs page, I am going to include the engine out waypoint, so that's going to be LISBON on the runway heading. Let's see what that is. 032? No, probably not. Let's go ahead and have a look into the chart. So, departure, airport. Here we go. So, runway heading 025. And we can go 25 miles straight ahead, and then include a little discontinuity up there. And here we go. Alright, in order to add the holding, I need to execute this now already. Slight deviation from the SOP, but that's fine. And 025. Climbing 2, let's have a look. Can't be that high today. So, all aboard. 1 Lima and X-ray. Here we go. Okay, 4000 is the MSA, then we are going to climb to 4000 as well. And that's just perfect. Okay, wonderful. So, there come our passengers. Well, that ramp agent should be shouting at them for not running across the, the marked passageways, but remember, the GSX profile is probably a little bit out of date for the brand new scenery. Okay, so, back into the airport, or airport? Aircraft. That'll do. Alright, quick check of all our systems up here. So, that's working fine, that's working fine. What about the refueling? It's finished. And the belts can come on. Okay, so cruising flight level is going to be flight level 370 and the landing field elevation is 150. Logo lights, wheel well lights, right igniter. And you can also turn on some of the backlighting for the compass, please. Right, flight director is going on. Initial climb, I do believe it's flight level 100. Let's have a look. Yeah, initial climb clearance, flight level 100. Perfect. And the heading 025 as per the runway heading. I'm going to put the same on the courses in case we need to do an immediate return, since our departure is all RNAV based today. So, reset the fuel flow, auto brakes to RTO. And then we're about done. Let's set the parking brake down here. Okay, I don't really expect any ATC this morning, but 1228, 1215 into the radios anyway. Here we go. And I am going to deselect those ILS frequencies here. Let's see, do we have the frequency of that Lisbon VOR? Yeah, 14.8. That way we at least have something sensible visible there. Okay. And that is looking good. Alright, perfect. So, with that, our initial setup is pretty much completed. Let's go ahead. We can set that MFRA already. So that's going to be just about 1,000 above the field, so 1350. Oh, that was a little bit far. And here we go, 1350. Perfect, so with that I'd say we are ready to go for our departure briefing. So threats for the departure, honestly I don't really see any. Nope, no threats. Okay, route check. Lima Papa Papa Tango towards Lima Papa Mike Alpha Romeo Yankee Romeo 387. The routing via the Allbot 1 Lima departure, direct Nata, direct Raccoon, Raccoon 1 Papa arrival for an approach to Madeira, 600 miles versus 620, 2.9, and the reserves 1.9. That gives us roughly some 20 minutes of extra fuel. Time UTC 0702, altimeter 1024, reading 340, MFRA 1350. Flight directors are on and minus the master, standby instrument set. It is a left sea takeoff of runway 02, flap 5, north abatement procedure 2, and we have an EO sit straight at 25 miles, climbing to 4,000 feet. Emergencies as briefed in the crew room. So for our taxi, we are going to push back onto Zulu, then taxi out Zulu 3, Mike, and then we end up right at the holding point. We'll take November 2 for the figures. Okay, our sit is the Allbot 1 Lima departure, which we can find on the chart over here, and that one is located on, come on, the chart 10-3 Bravo, effective 16th of May. Transition altitude 4,000 versus 4,001 in the FMC. Speed max 250, below flight level 100, unless otherwise advised by ATC, and we have 250 below 100. Okay, so for our routing, it's going to be a right-hand turn on the 032 track, inbound to MPAD above 3000. And we've got MPAD above 3000 with a 031 track. Slight deviation there, that is acceptable due to the magnetic variation. Then 092, 21 miles, Papa Tango 757. 182, 11.8 miles, waypoint 758, which we have in here, and then a right-hand turn again, 241, 32.7, inbound waypoint 755, above flight level 160, and we do have that, and from there we proceed on 272, 38.5 miles, inbound Ekper, which we have in here, and thereafter 244, 35.8, inbound to Allbot, which we also have. Okay, initial climb. Flight level 100, I agree, and that's set. Perfect. Do you have any questions on the departure briefing? No? Wonderful. Okay, starting APU, and I'm going to say hello to our passengers. The boarding seems to be completed. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning from the flight deck. This is your captain speaking. My name is Emmanuel. In the name of Ryanair, welcome aboard flight 387 towards Madeira. The flight time today approximately 1 hour and 40 minutes at a cruising altitude of 37,000 feet. We would like to thank you very much for being our guests today. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight with us. And finally, I would like to ask you for your full attention for the cabin crew safety demonstration that is going to commence very shortly. That is not just for your own safety, but also for the safety of the passengers sitting around you. Thank you very much for your attention, and again, welcome aboard. Okay, in that case, refueling seems complete, boarding is complete. I have no idea why GSX changed our fuel again. Such an annoying program. Alright, let's go for our performance. So we have 59.4 on board, 59.4 planned, giving us a gross weight of 66.1. And that checks against the flight plan, taking into account that this is minus the taxi fuel. Okay, so performance tool, Lisbon, runway 02, import the weights, import the weather, and then we get takeoff 139 degrees. So 24k at 39 degrees, 91.4 versus 91.2, close enough. Okay. So flaps 5 takeoff, CG from here, 6 units of trim. And our speeds are going to be 140, 141 and 147. And that's all within 1 knot, so we can take those FMS speeds in here. Okay, and 147 into the MCP. Perfect, so that's it. APU can come online. Then let's see, prepare position for pushback and departure. In the meantime, just as a small demonstration over here, if we go into the ground operations page, we can now go ahead and release our ground power down here. And our park and brake is set, so we can go ahead and remove the chocks as well. Perfect. So with that good stuff done, just gotta make sure that they do actually retract those air stairs and close the doors. No. And they also didn't remove the tuck. Okay. Well, in that case, not a problem. So, ground service vehicles. Okay, looks like they do need the chocks in place for that. Let's go ahead and set those chocks again. Ground service vehicles. Okay, fuel truck departing. Perfect. Okay, wonderful. So, with the tuck gone, let's go ahead and remove those chocks once again. And then all we gotta do is retract those air stairs. Small work in progress here. They are currently only possible to be operated down from the FMC. I do hope that that's going to be added to the EFB before the release as well. Remember, I'm using a beta to record this. Okay, so that stuff is all looking good. And then I'd say we can do the safety inspection checklist, and before start checklist down to the line, please. Services and shocks, checked. Maintenance status, checked. Batteries on. Electric hydraulic pumps on. Landing gear lever down. Ship's library, checked. RS mode selectors, nav, gear pins. We've got them 1, 2, 3 removed. Probe covers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 removed. Light test checked. Oxygen tested 100%. Yaw damper on. Nav transfer and display switches, normal and auto. Fuel, 6.6 required. 6.7 on board, 4 pumps on. Cabin utility, IFE galley power on, emergency exit lights armed, fast modes on, window heat on, air conditioning pressurization, packs auto, bleeds on set, pressurization mode selector, auto, instruments cross-checked, auto brakes, RTO, hydraulics, normal, speed brake. Down detent, park and brake set, start from cutout switches normal, wheel fire warning checked, radius, radar and transponder, set and standby, rudder and aileron trims 3 and 0, takeoff briefing completed, PA complete, FMC, CDU, set, N1 and ILS bugs, automatic, reduced 24k, speeds 140, 141, 147, set, stop trim, 6 units, set, performance, weight and balance, sign send, phones off, EFB, airplane mode stowed, flight windows, and cockpit door, locked, doors, closed, passengers, seated, before start checklist complete. Okay, ground from flight deck. Go ahead. So please confirm doors and hatches closed, ground equipment removed, and the bypass pin is installed. That's all confirmed, Captain. Roger, we'll get the pushback clearance. Okay, ground flight. We're cleared for push, and the park and brake is set. Runway 02. What are they clicking again? Stop that, GSX. Annoying piece of a program. It just showed us the pushback dialog earlier, did it? Come on, you can do it. GSX. Did it disconnect anything? No, they're standing there ready. Just nothing happening. Such an unbelievable program this is. Here we go. Okay, nose to the right, please. Okay, before start checklist below the line. Air compacts off, anti-collision light on, parking brake set, transponder alt off, before start checklist complete. Okay, ground flight, parking brake is released, clear to push. Let us know when we can start the engines. Roger. Okay, here we go. Starting the pushback. Scheduled off-block time was 15, so we are running 3 minutes early. 4 minutes early. Perfect. This is looking quite cool, isn't it? Something I really like about the new Lisbon scenery is the fact that they put so much work into all the different surface types we see on the apron over here. So you can see all those patches and everything that the airports put on over the side over the time when they've done some repairs and stuff. That's really neat. Okay then, engine 2 start. N2. Oil pressure. N1. Again, still running a little bit quick, that engine start. The real 737 takes, well, kind of different sequences between the N2 going live, oil pressure going live, and N1 going live. Something that I do hope they are going to address with a future update. Okay, flight at ground, push completed, set brakes. Parking brake set, you're clear to remove the tuck, turbine bypass pin and advise when clear. Okay, looks like a good engine start on number 2. Interesting way to finish the pushback for the tuck. Okay, good starting 2, starting 1. Engine 1 start. N2. Oil pressure. N1. And the valves are operating. Here we go. So that's the tuck going away. And the ramp agent leaving as well. Okay, ground, we've got 2 good starts, clear to disconnect, show me the sign on the left with a pin, and have a good day. And there he is already. Okay, start a cutout, monitor 1, number 1, stable. So the pin is seen. I think we can turn the dome light off here as well. So, flight control track, full up, full down, neutral, full left, full right, neutral, rudder, full left, full right, neutral, after start checklist. Generators on, APU off, start switches continuous, probe heat on, anti-ice off, air conditioning, PAX auto, bleeds on, isolation valve, auto, flaps, 5 required, 5 selected, and green light, stab trim, 6 units required and set, start levers idly 10, flight controls checked, recall checked, before taxi checklist complete. Okay, clear left side, and clear right side. Taxi fairly easy, straight ahead, right hand turn, Zulu 3, Mike, and down to the holding point for a full length departure. Parking brake released. And config check, and this is new with the new update now. You can see we can do the config without the engines running all the way up. So, some 30% N1, sufficient to get it to move. And that's exactly how the 737 should behave. depending on the weight, between 30 and 40%, also depending on the slope of the apron and stuff like that, of course. But that's how a 737 behaves. There were recently a couple of comments on my channel saying that the aircraft would need too much thrust to taxi. I can definitely not confirm that. The thrust requirement is pretty spot on. Okay, so clear right hand side, and remember we do have the new ground steering model here, so let's go ahead and start that right hand turn. As you can see, no problems at all. Taxi is really nice. Okay, nobody coming from the right. Another Ryanair taxiing up there. And then off to the left. And then we can go ahead with the before takeoff checklist down to the line, please. So, config, checked, flaps, 5 green light, step trim, 6 units set. Takeoff briefing, it is a left seat takeoff, runway 02, flaps 5, noise abatement procedure 2, and we've got PAX auto bleeds on, anti-ice off. Takeoff speeds 140, 141, 147 set, and the SID straight ahead, right hand turn, 032 track, and thereafter, yeah, just follow the SID. Once we're at a good altitude, probably a direct. Climbing initially flight level 100, and we do not have any specials. In case of emergencies, climb on the runway track 25 miles to the Lisbon point that I created at the end of the legs page. Pick up the hold over there, 4,000 feet, which keeps us safe above the MSA. Any questions? Okay, cabin secure, before takeoff checklist complete. So just to point it out again, the ground pollution of this airport. Not only did they include lots of different surface types here, they really gave it that nice and, you know, realistic feeling to it. I do really like that. They've done an awesome job with that. Okay, let's stop here for a second, just turn on that transponder, see where the arriving aircraft is. Yeah, 3 miles final, we are going to line up behind him. Okay, park and brake set, then we've just got to wait for that arriving aircraft and then hope that the other taxiing Ryanair is not going to go in front of us. However, I kind of have a feeling he will. The big question is the AI gonna line him up while the arrival is like 2 miles out? No, he's holding short as well. Perfect. I have a feeling the AI, however, will make him depart as soon as that guy is on the ground. So we might be number 2 for our departure here. Anyone behind us? Anyone else coming? No. But look at this. Really good looking airport, isn't it? I really think MK did a splendid job on this one. Okay, the arrival is coming. I tell you what, we'll be lining up behind this one. Cabin crew, prepare for departure. So, the bus is on the ground. And that guy is waiting. Perfect. Going a little fast here. Alright, sharp turn onto the runway. As you can see, no problem at all. Before takeoff checklist below the line. MCP, set, transponder, Tara, strobe lights on, holding at landing lights. So, he's turning off. In that case, runway 02 cleared for takeoff. So, watch the engine spool up now. And takeoff thrust set, indications normal. For some reason, oh no, I forgot to...
80 knots.
Nope, Elnov didn't want to arm. Okay, 80 knots is checked. Then we'll engage it after we're in the air. No problem.
E1. Rotate. Positive rate of climb.
You're up. Okay, LNAV. Buck up. Flaps 1. Speed checked. Flaps up. Speed checked. Flying it a little bit outside the flight director. But that is intentional over here. Something I used to learn at my old operator. We did that quite a lot. Command A. Flaps up, no lights. VNAV, set standard. Standard, cross-check, passing flight level 37 now. Okay, release cabin. And after takeoff checklist, please. So, air condition and pressurization, 2.0, climbing, and set. Altimeters, standard, passing level 47 now. After takeoff checklist complete. Okay, the cabin crew is released for duties. And with that, we're up and on the way. So, going right into the sun up here. Let's get those sunshades up. Here we go, that's looking better. And then, continue the climb, flight level 240. Right, I think we are more than high enough. Let's go ahead and make a right-hand turn here. Papa Tango. I tell you what, can go all the way to Albot, can't we? Okay, execute. LNAV available. LNAV. Most important thing during a turn, keep that sunshade aligned. That's the important things of flying an aircraft. Okay, let's maintain 250 knots throughout the turn. Speed intervent. No reason to go fast into the wrong direction here. That's, by the way, something that you actually got to do in the real 737. Those turn radiuses are always calculated on the present speed of the aircraft. If I would not go speed in event, if I would let it accelerate now, then it would start overshooting the turn. That's not a bug, that's a feature. Okay, altimeters. Passing 10.9, climbing 240, 10 checks. Fuel is balanced with 4 pumps on. Lights off, APU off, aircon and press, 4.4, climbing and set. Fasten belts. I think we'll keep them on until the turn is completed. Recall checked and monitoring 1 to 1.5. No CPDLC to connect to over here, and with that our 10 checks are completed. Alright, now let's go ahead and close that speed window so that we can start accelerating. And as soon as we're outside the turn, then we can go ahead and release our passengers. So, lock location. One of the new features that we have over here is the vertical profile map. And, well, on this one it looks a little bit interesting because there is no top of climb, or there is no waypoints between the top of climb and the top of descents over here. So that's why you see what you see over there. At Nata we more or less start going down already. So that's why it looks like this. But in general, quite a cool tool that you have available over there, especially when used in conjunction with the low and the high altitude maps. So pretty cool thing that we have down there. Alright. So with that we're up and on the way. Then let's go ahead and release our guests. Passengers out, and last but not least a quick check. Optimum 382, cruise 370. Looks just about perfect, so we are going to go for level 370. 2.9 remaining at Madeira, which is just about perfect. And then let's go all the way up to flight level 370. Set. And that's 370 once, twice, and 3 times, monitoring 1 to 1.5. Okay, last but not least, we can go ahead and turn our lights off since it's bright and daylight now. Typical scenario flying in autumn over here. You get on board the aircraft, it's just about dusk. Did I say dusk? Dawn, of course. And then once you're in the air, it's nice and bright daylight. I do like that. I do like that very much. Okay. So with all of that out of the way, something I learned when flying this route online yesterday is that usually they give you direct to Raccoon pretty early on, once you are talking to center. So I suppose we are just going to fly direct to Raccoon now. However, I will take the beam point so that we can do a fuel check later on. Okay, direct to Raccoon is looking good. We're all within the same FIR, so no need to do anything on the fix pages. So what we can do is to take that one, delete, and then the end of the legs page, remove that holding there as well, execute, perfect. Okay, so I'd say from here on we speed it up a little bit until we get closer to Madeira, where we can start the really interesting stuff. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight with us. Seatbelt signs on. Are you ready for the approach briefing? So, threats for the arrival is obviously the terrain around the airport combined with the weather conditions here. However, the latest weather update didn't look all that bad. If we have a look into this, 020 at 17, so that is going to be a little bit of gusts there as the weather is coming from over the mountains. Let's quickly go ahead and have a look into the weather limits over here. So 020, the wind limit is 20 knots, gust to 30, so we are pretty close to the limit. So it might become an interesting approach depending on the actual weather conditions once we get down there. So, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and discuss the approach itself. In terms of the threats, yeah, we mentioned the terrain. However, I am going to turn the terrain inhibit switch on here because, unfortunately, the aircraft does have that little problem that it doesn't recognize the GPWS approach slopes correctly. I don't think there is a worldwide database available for them. Pretty much any aircraft seems to have that bug. Okay, so, speeds are in, winds are in. I've only drawn a 25-mile ring here because of the curved nature of the approach, so there is not really any sense in drawing anything shorter. Okay, for the arrival itself, we are already inbound to Mike Alpha 534 above 4,000 feet, and then on towards P-Lim above 3,000 feet, which happens to be the clearance limit at below 230 knots. Alright, from there things are getting interesting. We are going to fly the RMP Zulu runway 05, which is an AR approach. We have that authorization, so we can fly it. Now, the final approach course is 049. Not that we really need those, but let's go ahead and set them for good measure. No frequencies needed, and the minimums is going to be 520, which we've set, and in accordance with those 520, we should change the RMP over here to 0.1. Will you? Thank you. Okay, good. So then, our approach starts out of P-Lim, and we are going to fly via Mike Alpha 530, Mike Alpha 528, and Mike Alpha 526, maximum 195 knots. And looking into here, that's exactly what we have, including all those vertical restrictions. Now things are getting interesting. Towards Mike Alpha 522, maximum 160 knots, and that is of course a curved segment here. Which is why it says 03 arc up there, so it's a 3 miles arc. Okay, 1,000 to go is checked. Let's descend down to 3,000 already. Set, 3,000 checked. Set QNH. QNH 1023 cross-check passing 10,800 now. Checked. Okay, a little bit of speed brake to make sure we're getting back onto the profile here. So then, the further approach leads us via Mike Alpha 520 and 502 towards the runway point, and that's exactly what we have. So we do have a 3-degree glide, which is included over here as well. The runway elevation is correct. Excellent. For the missed approach, we are going via Mike Alpha 552, maximum 210 towards 554, and then to Monac at 3,000, and that's indeed exactly what we have. Alright, arrival fuel 3,000 versus minimum of 1.8, so we carry about 25 minutes extra. Well, we can take 62.5 as our landing weight. We are going to make this a flaps 40 landing with auto brakes 3, and we vacate the runway to the right and then taxi to the apron. Any questions? No? Beautiful. Cabin crew, 10 minutes to landing. Okay, descent checklist please. Pressurization, land out 150, anti-ice off, approach briefing fuel discussed, IS and alt bugs checked and set. Approach checklist, descent checklist complete. And then the 10 checks please. So the fuel is balanced with 4 pumps on, lights on, angle of bank 25, air cannon press, 3.3 descending, set, fast modes on, recall, checked, and 1 to 1.5 is deselected, 10 checks complete. Okay, perfect. So, one more check for us to do, and that's going to be the frisk. So, we don't need any frequencies, we don't need any rings, no idents. Standby instruments are set, and the course is 049. Approach checklist. Altimeter and instruments, cross-checked, approach aids, checked and set. Approach checklist completed. So, a lot of stuff that we had to do over here, but That's just how these things are, and I don't want to drag the videos into the length unnecessarily over here. But nonetheless, do give your feedback if you think I should have taken it out of the accelerated part a bit earlier to do everything a little bit earlier with you. I think it was just about fine this way, as we're about to reach the final part of our star and commence the RMP AR approach. Now, a small word over here, I'm not actually sure if Ryanair is rated or is certified to fly these AR approaches here. I would kinda imagine so, because they do have aircraft based at Madeira as the only airline to have that, but nonetheless, it's still Ryanair, so I wouldn't be surprised. In any case, I told you earlier that our winds are fairly close to the limiting value. We have 020 at 17, and you can see that between 020 and 040 the limit is 20 knots, with a gust up to 30. Now, why is that limit? That limit is because of the terrain and the hills we have over here. So the wind from 020 comes in somewhere like that, so it comes in over the mountains. That means particularly strong turbulence can occur as the wind is getting rougher because of the terrain or hills? Which one did I want to say? You know where I'm going with that. So mechanical turbulence, that's turbulence based upon the surface structures, aka the mountains, is introduced over here, and that is why we have those special dedicated wind limitations in place. Now, the 737's autopilot is not exactly a perfect machine, even though it normally does its job fairly well. This means we will have to pay special attention here. In case we run into some particularly strong turbulence, we might have to disconnect the autopilot and take over manually for our approach. So that can happen. We'll see about it. Knowing Microsoft Flight Simulator, the turbulence is probably not going to be as bad as it could potentially be in the real world, so I'm kinda expecting no problems here, but we'll see about it. Now, what I'm really excited to see how the aircraft is going to manage the tracking of the lateral routing combined with the vertical one, as we do have the 3-degree glide path over here, so the airplane should be following that pretty roughly exactly, but we'll see of what it's actually going to be capable of doing here. Okay, so for now, everything is cloudy. We can see half of the runway over there, but half the runway is not sufficient for our approach, of course, and we are still going through quite a bit of IMC here. So we'll just let the autopilot handle it for now, and we make sure that we do follow it down nicely. Now, there is one common misconception amongst flight simmers, and that is many flight simmers seem to think that RMP approaches can only be flown by the autopilot. That is, of course, not correct. We could at any time take over and fly the approach manually. However, flight director guidance is mandatory for this one. Okay, we start slowing down. Combined with that, we will have to extend the flaps in a moment, so let's go flaps 1. Speed checked. Okay, so we have an ANP of 0.07, 0.1 is the limit, so we are within the limits of the approach. Flaps 5, speed checked. Flaps 5. Last but not least, a small explanation here as to why I have disabled the GPWS terrain look ahead feature. That is because of the fact that in the real world you would have an approach slope covered in the GPWS. As long as the airplane is within that defined sector, you would not get any alerts. However, no such databases are available for flight simulation, and therefore the GPWS simply looks ahead and what's coming, and when we are flying on that part of the approach over here, very, very close to the terrain, it would only see, oh, terrain, and then you would get the respective warnings and you would have to disconnect the approach. Okay, so 190 knots and 195 is the limit over here at 5 to 6, so we are running good at the moment. Next up we've got 2,000 feet, and we might as well just set our MCP down to 600 already. So we've got 600 feet, VNAV path, speed intervent. Okay, let's set the runway heading, 049. And then we can go, gear down, flaps 15. Flaps 25. Speed check, flaps 25. And flaps 40. Speed checked, flaps 40. Terrain noted. Landing checklist. Start switches, continuous, recall, checked, speed brake, armed green light, landing gear down 3 green, auto brakes 3 set. Flaps 40, 40, green light, landing lights on, landing checklist complete. Okay, the cabin should be secure by now. Let's go ahead and turn that reminder on. And now let's go ahead and see how our 737 is going to fly the approach. We are using the brand new scenery for Madeira, released just a couple of days ago, and I do have to thank the developers very, very much for providing me with a copy of it. Unfortunately, because I've been flying in the real world, I couldn't do a pre-release video, but here we go. I think this one is really gonna make up for it. So, very nice tracking along the arc over here. We are showing 4 reds on the poppies at the moment, but that will change during the approach. Okay, everything visual now. And here we go. Poppies 3 whites. Approach lights over here. Let's go ahead and keep the autopilot in until we are all the way on the final. I really want to see what the 737 is capable of doing now. Only if it should act up, that would be our moment to disconnect that autopilot. So, 1000 is checked. So, approaching the famous lead-in lights that would be located along here. We are exactly on the poppy now. 2 whites, 2 reds. Okay, go around altitude 3000 set. Checked. Minimums. Continue. And tell me that autopilot can't fly the approach. Beautiful. Exactly on center line. Okay. Nonetheless, I want the fun of landing it manually, of course. After all, it can't do an auto land based off an RNAV approach anyway.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
And here we go. So, speed brake up. Thrust reverse normal. 100 knots. 80 knots. $60 knots past, manual braking. And here we are. Welcome to Madeira. So, I sure hope that you have liked this little demonstration over here. Let's go ahead and start cleaning it up while we still have a bit of time, as we are still on that runway. And then we're gonna vacate to the right and taxi over to the apron. Again, the Madeira scenery is new as well, and in my opinion definitely the best Madeira we have available for our simulator yet. They sure put a lot of attention into getting parts on the approach ride, into getting that cliff next to the airport ride, and also quite a bit more details of the airport itself over here. So overall, I do really like that scenery. It definitely is the best Madeira that we have seen in the Flight Simulator world so far. Okay, we're going to taxi stand Alpha 7. Let's go ahead and get GSX onto there. Alpha 7 it is. Follow me, no thanks. And handling by, yeah, either one of those companies really. Okay, starting the APU. And of course weather radar off. And we might just as well turn the GPWS back into auto as well. So, gate Alpha 7. And with that, welcome to Madeira, everyone. Again, beautiful looking scenery. That wall is just a lot nicer than it used to be on the others. But so is the entire apron complex. High definition textures, nice levels of accuracy here with the colors changing everywhere. That's the kind of scenery I like. Okay, so that's our gate Alpha 7 over here. APU is on the bus, weather radar is off, lights are off. Then let's see how GSX is going to park us over here. Here we go. So we have 2 blue, 1 red, engines dead. Cabin crew, all doors in park. So, the one thing we have to do manually here is to get those air stairs out. Okay, both engines below 20, anti-collision off, transit shutdown checklist. Electrical on APU, fast modes off, probe beat auto, anti-ice off, air conditioning, packs auto, engine bleeds on, APU bleed off. Exterior light set, start switches off, auto brakes off, speed brake down to 10, flaps up no light, parking brake set, start levers cut off, weather radar off, transponder 2000 standby, CB in, cockpit door unlocked. And that's the transit shutdown checklist complete. So, welcome to Madeira, everyone. Let's go ahead and get ourselves some chocks over here. And also a ground power unit, please. And we will take it via the GPU card. So, you may open those doors, and then we are going to ask for the deboarding, please. Alright, ground power available, APU coming off. Well, and that's the new Madeira scenery. In my opinion, really well modeled, and I really like those little details we have in here. So first of all, good and high resolution textures down here on the ground. But what I really like the most is the level of detail we are seeing here at the terminal, especially from the air side. So if we go over here, just looks really cool, doesn't it? Really, really cool. Even if we go inside, very well done. I do like that. I do like that very much. Well, and here we are. So, from here on, time to head to the common spotter points, so that we can start enjoying seeing the approaches of the next couple of guys. Nope, I don't think we're supposed to enter in here. Well, nonetheless, I will just quickly go through this, because I want to get up to the terrace up here. Alright, here we are. So with that, let's go ahead and sit back for a moment over here, and I hope that you are going to be among those who are going to take over those approaches pretty soon. Thank you very much for watching. As always, be sure to leave a like, comment and subscribe. I do hope you like this triple preview over here of the new Lisbon by MK Studios to be released on Wednesday, I believe. Then the new PMDG update, no exact release date for that yet. And last but not least, the brand new Madeira scenery. Thank you very much to all three developers for providing the review copies. And with that out of the way, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. And as always, if you really love what I'm doing on this channel, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you for watching, and see you all again on the next one.